In a related video titled How to Interpret Column, Tabular, and Graphical Results, we saw that for the column design, or the design of a column group that you can see here marked in red, the unbraced length was 360 inches, but when we went to individually check the columns for code check, the unbraced length was the story height, where it attaches to the stories. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to look and see why the unbraced length is defined as 360 inches when clearly we have stories that are less than that equivalent of 30 feet. So looking at a side view, we can see that we have columns that we had designed and code checked between ground 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4. And looking at the story heights for those columns, we can also see that we have a 10-foot height, 10-foot, and a 12-foot height. And this is minus the slab thickness of 7 inches in this case. Okay, so looking at the column design group result, if I go up here to open column summary and I look at this report, we can see that the unbraced length here is shown as 360 inches. So every column that is assigned to that group takes on the worst case scenario in essence, and in that case it's an unbraced length of 360 inches. If I look at a individual column result, let's say we look at this column, and I go ahead and I look at the column design summary. Here for this column, as an individually checked column, we have an unbraced length of 113. So this is the 120 minus the 7 for that column. Now, if we continue to look at this, we're going to identify why the unbraced length at 360 inches is actually coming into play. And we're going to focus on this stack here. We can see that we have a 7-inch slab, and it's offset by 0. And notice that this slab is actually abutted against this slab. So we have slab 1 and slab 2, and that happens, kind of repeat itself all the way down. If we look at the balcony slab, we'll call it, this slab is actually offset by 1 inch. So we have adjacent non-nested slabs that are offset. And because of that, the program essentially triggers this issue with the unbraced length. So if we look at this first column in sequence where the offset slab connects to the column in the stack, this column here, if I go and I look at the summary for this column, we can see here this is what's causing the 360-inch unbraced length. If we look at the next column in sequence and we look at its report, it's 224. So it actually takes on the length from this offset slab all the way down until you no longer have a column connected to an offset slab. The second column, because this slab is offset, takes the length again all the way down until there's a column without an offset slab. This the same thing. So this is basically 3 floors of height, this is 2 floors of height, and this is 1 floor of height. Okay, and if you double click on that column, you can actually see, if we update this actually shows you the unbraced length that the program is calculating. And it's based on that, the way that the slabs are offset and the way that the slabs are adjoined. So the way that we work around this in this case is we have to nest the slabs, and we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll go up to this level here, and rather than modeling this as adjoined, if we go ahead and we nest this, and I'll just go ahead and add a couple of points. I'm going to add point 1 and just 2 points is all we need. So we'll come back and just reassign the location of these points. This one I'll actually slide over, and this one I'll slide here. So we've nested one slab on top of the other. We still are going to have an offset because this slab that's offset is actually contained within this larger slab that now encompasses it. So if we make a section cut through here, we still have the geometry that we want. It's just now, in terms of column design, the program recognizes and is touching a slab that is no longer offset. This is, again, the workaround. I'll actually go down to the next level And we're going to do the exact same thing here. I'll move this point over, and then I'm going to insert a new point here and here, and we'll slide those up. The slab on the bottom doesn't really matter that we do this because this is the last column in the sequence. Okay, now we'll come back and I'm going to re-mesh the entire structure. We're actually going to redesign the columns and show that once we do this, the unbraced length is now the proper unbraced length for that design group. So we'll go ahead and execute the model a second time. And we already have all of our column design options set for the for this model. So we'll go ahead now and we're going to redesign. We'll go over to column design. I'll do columns only, and we're going to design that one group again. Okay, once we design that, we can now see that the current value, that's basically the value, assuming the unbraced length was 360, the interaction ratio for axial versus moment was about 2.28. When we make the change to the proper unbraced length, we now have a value of 0.65. And if I view this report for design, we can see that that design here is based on the, in this case, it's 224. So that updates the result. We can also view an updated result if we look at those individual columns again. If we come back to this column, and we're actually going to just code check that column. We'll go ahead and code check it. That individually looks at that column and we're going to just update that. I'll go ahead and I'll come back and view the design summary. We can see here the unbraced length is 136. Coming to this one will actually be 224. That's shown here. We should have actually adjusted that lower slab because the program sees that that slab is offset and it runs the length down to the bottom. So this one will be the 113. If we look at the unbraced length here, this will be, or excuse me, 112. We have an 8-inch slab at that location. So let's go ahead and make the second modification to fix that lower slab. Select this, move this over, and we're going to insert that point 1 and 2 again, and then adjust the slab. Okay, I'll come back into multi-level mode. And I'm going to remesh. And reanalyze. We'll run through this one more time, and we should have the proper lengths assigned to each of the columns for the design group. I'll reset the view. We'll come over to column design. I'm actually going to change this back to the original design. The 25 bars was based on, this was based on the incorrect unbraced length. So we'll set this to 2, and we'll do 2 and 2 here. Actually, I think it was 3 and 3. It was a row of 2%. Okay, and we're going to now come back to columns only. I'll design that group again. So remember, the design of the group pertains to all of the columns assigned to the group. So it takes, again, the worst case unbraced length as well as all of the actions on every column and looks at it in that setting. So here you can see the proposed value is 0.91. We'll go ahead and view the report. The unbraced length is 137. Looking at individual columns, we can code check the group versus design. This now checks each column independently based on its own forces acting on the column and moments, and it will produce an independent interaction ratio for each column regardless of the group that it's assigned to. Okay, and looking at these individual results, you can see this is 112. The upper column, 136, that controls the group. And this column is 112 also. Okay, and looking at the graphical results, we should now have acceptable results for both column, code check, and design, because now we have correlated unbraced length values for the two. So we'll go over here to design group. Status you can see is okay, and individual status is okay. So if you ever see a mismatch between the two result types, individual, again, code check, or design, there's a possibility that a column that is not the controlling column of the design group under its own actions may produce a different ratio than as a part of a design group. That's also a possibility, but you also want to keep in mind this the unbraced length that's assigned to the group versus individually. If you have any questions, please contact us at support@adaptsoft.com.